Welcome to Inside PTI, weekly videos designed to get you the trial results you want, agronomy explanations you need, and hopefully some insights that will set you up for success this growing season. Today we're going to talk about what products or nutrients should I apply through Conceal. Now, at the PTI farm, we test all kinds of different ways of applying nutrients. Today we're going to talk about our Conceal application unit. And for some of you folks who don't know what a Conceal unit is, this is a close-up view of what we're dealing with Conceal. Now, we're applying nutrients through Conceal. This is using existing real estate on the planter. We're going inside our gauge wheels of the planter. We've got an inverted knife cut right in the middle of our gauge wheel, and that's a really nice spot to apply nutrients because we're 3 inches away from the seed trench, 1.5 inches deep. So we're not doing the old 2x2 thing from years ago where we're hanging heavy equipment, coulters, blades on the front of the planter. That's just extra weight. It's the wrong placement. We want to eliminate all that, and we're going to what we call Conceal. Here's a video of how Conceal works. This is a John Deere row unit. And we'll get the video going here, and you can see the spoke type gauge wheel, and you can see the knife on the inside of that gauge wheel. So we're right in the middle of the gauge wheel with that knife. That's going to give us a 3-inch placement away from the furrow. We're going to turn this video around here a little bit so you guys can see right behind the planter. You can see the slit in the gauge wheels where the knife applies the product. And the question is today is what product should actually go through Conceal to offer us some high yields. And today I guess we'll talk about corn, okay? So I've kind of broken it down into 3 nutrients. And so when I look at the PTI farm and what we're trying to do to raise high yielding corn, there's 3 things that I think really show up nicely through Conceal: nitrogen, sulfur, and boron. And really when you think about the placement of Conceal, 3 inches away from the seed trench, 1.5 inches in depth, these are 3 products that are not seed safe. In other words, we can't apply these 3 products in the furrow. So a Conceal type application is about perfect for nitrogen, sulfur, boron. Again, 3 products we cannot put in the seed trench. Let's talk about nitrogen first. Probably the most popular nutrient that's going to go through Conceal. Look at the row-to-row differences where we've got nitrogen on the planter applied through Conceal. The corn on the right, you can see it's green, it's taller, it's definitely a lot healthier corn. Now the corn on the left, it's the yellow corn there. It's got the same amount of nitrogen on it. It just doesn't have the dual high concentrated bands of nitrogen that Conceal does on the right. So this was this past spring when we had very cold and wet conditions, and that Conceal dual band application really protected that corn. We call it luxury nitrogen. It's not that we're putting on more, it's just that we're putting it on in a very good spot that the corn plant can access it easily. And it definitely shows in this picture. Now, what does it mean yield-wise? So since we've been, starting to apply nitrogen through Conceal, we've seen some nice yield increases. And, in the past, we've been doing nitrogen placement programs like 50% of our nitrogen coming in as a weed and feed when we put our herbicide on, and then we come back with the other half in a side dress. We'd never really done a whole lot of nitrogen applications with the planter, at least on our family farm and what we've been doing with on-farm research. We hadn't done a whole lot of nitrogen on the planter, but the moment we did 3 years ago, we saw some nice yield increases up to almost 14 bushel to the acre just by having nitrogen on the planter. So it's made some big differences. So here you see kind of my setup on the PTI farm. We're coming in with a weed and feed. We have to put our herbicides on anyway. We put a little nitrogen with it, UAN. We come in and plant. We've got UAN on the planter with dual band Conceal, and then we finish with a side dress application. So split applications do very well for us. It's one way where we can be safe with our nutrients and we can grow some pretty high yielding corn. I love the fact that dual band nitrogen through Conceal is offering us some nice economic advantages. How much? About $60 an acre. This graph that you're looking at right now shows various different nitrogen programs. And the top nitrogen programs for us over the last 3 years have included nitrogen on the planter, okay? Our best nitrogen program at the farm has been 25% of our nitrogen on as a weed and feed, 25% with Conceal on the planter, and then the other half is a side dress, just like we've always done in the past. But this program has offered us $60 an acre gains compared to my old program of a 50% weed and feed, 50% side dress. So nitrogen through Conceal has offered us some really nice advantages. And remember, one last thing with this slide, these programs that you're looking at, these have the same amount of nitrogen except for two where I drop the nitrogen rate by 25% and then I increase it by 25%. But generally it's the same cost of nitrogen. That $60 per acre advantage is coming from the same cost of nitrogen. My input costs are the same, but I'm bringing in extra revenue in the form of $60 per acre. You take an average farmer growing 1,000 acres of corn, that's another $60,000 of farm family income. That's pretty powerful when you think about it. So tremendous gains from nitrogen, dual band applications through Conceal on the planter. What else? What else can we put through Conceal? Well, as we're putting on nitrogen, one of the things that I always think about is whenever I put nitrogen on, I have to add sulfur along with it. It used to be we had so much free sulfur, but the Clean Air Act came in and really forced some of our coal plants to really reduce sulfur emissions, and that was some of the free sulfur we were getting in the past. Now that it's kind of cleaned up a little bit, we have to apply sulfur because we know our corn is going to use sulfur during the growing season, and so now we have to apply it. We are at a 7-to-1 ratio of nitrogen to sulfur. So in other words, for every 7 pounds of nitrogen we apply to our corn, we're going to put 1 pound of sulfur in. You can see our corn sulfur requirement graph. Most of our sulfur uptake is going to begin at about 1,000 GDDs, and then that's when we're going to require lots of it in the corn plant. How are we going to apply it? I love putting sulfur in through Conceal. Dual band Conceal applications with nitrogen and sulfur. Is it doing anything for us yield-wise? This past year at PTI, as we look through our data results, okay, we looked at putting sulfur in with nitrogen, we're picking up about 7.4 extra bushel of corn. Okay, that's adding in about 3 gallons of ammonium thiosulfate with our nitrogen, giving us a nice little yield pop. That equates to over $21 an acre just by adding that sulfur in. Remember, we're a 7-to-1 ratio. Anytime we put nitrogen on at the PTI farm, we're going to have sulfur with it. Conceal is a great spot for it because I can't put sulfur in the furrow. It's just not seed safe. What else can I put in Conceal? The last nutrient that I think is really been a nice placement for us is boron. Again, it's a product we can't put in the furrow because it's not safe. So we're adding it in with our nitrogen and with our sulfur. When does corn require boron? Well, we're going to get to about the V10 growth stage, and that's when she's really going to start requiring this thing, okay? We add the boron in with the sulfur and the nitrogen. We're picking up an extra 3 bushel of corn, and that's giving us just under $8 net return. So a really nice add-on and a really nice placement with Conceal. So today's Inside PTI agronomy tip of the day is nitrogen, sulfur, and boron have been great products for us to apply through our Conceal system. It has improved our nitrogen programs by nearly $60 an acre, and it's also given us the ability to apply nutrients such as sulfur and boron in a high concentrated band that is safe for the corn plant, yet close enough to feed that plant efficiently and quickly. For more information or questions, feel free to reach out to any of our Precision Planting Premier dealers, or you can email us at InsidePTI@precisionplanting.com. We'll see you on the next episode of Inside PTI. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching.